Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video I will talk about the imperfections in my knits or crochet pieces. For a very long time I used to knit or crochet just out of my head. I still by now don't really follow patterns of other people. I have a really hard time reading instructions from other people or like following it. I just don't have the patience for it. But I did become a lot more cleaner with like the finishing touches of my garments that I made. But before, and even still until this day, I have a lot of imperfections in my knits. Most of the time I make them for myself. So I don't really care if there's like an imperfection in there or like a little tweak that I did to make it look better than it was before, but not in the correct way or like the correct way. I know there's not really a correct way to do things. And I just always stand by the thing, as long as it looks good, I think it's fine. But obviously on social media, everything always looks really pretty, really well made and put together. But on the inside of my knits, that most of the time you don't really see, or the little details, there's quite some imperfections in there, which I really don't mind. I think it's just really interesting to show them to you. And I'm also really curious about what kind of imperfections you don't really care about in your knits or your crochet pieces that you just like let go and be fine with. I will start with an accessory. I don't really knit as much accessories, but I have one and I absolutely love it. I have worn it so many times, but it does have some imperfections. Like it looks cute tucked into a jacket, but if you really look at it, it's not perfect. And that is this balaclava that I've made, I think 2 years ago almost by now. And on the first glance, it looks really cute. It is really cute. I love to wear it. It's really warm and really soft, and I use my underwear pattern that I think is my most favorite pattern or design that I've ever made so far. And it's just a really cute color combination as well. But you know, the only thing is, I don't know if you can say that this is like an imperfection or just a calculation mistake. I don't know, where do we draw the line? It's a bit too long. Like if you compare it to my head, it's just too long. So basically, if I would wear it normally without a coat that is really snug around my neck, it really like is open. And the point of a balaclava, I think, is that it's really nice around your head. But with this one, that's not the case. So basically this like ribbing part is totally useless because you don't see it. I always tuck it in really tight into my jacket. And then I also most of the time wrap a scarf around it because I have this blue metallic puffer jacket with a high neck. So basically you can hide everything in it. When I wear a scarf, I just hide it in there. And it's super cute with this balaclava. But the balaclava is just not balaclavaing. Like it's just not how it's supposed to be. That is an imperfection because on the first glance, I would say this is a really cute and normal balaclava, but it's not. It's too big, which is also fine. I just really want to remake a balaclava that fits my head really nice and snug, but not too tight, and then a nice piece around the neck, because this one is just not perfect. And also because of like the crochet detailing on the side, it got a bit wider, which also makes it a lot more roomy. I must say the yarn that I have used for this is a secondhand yarn that I've bought. It's really pretty because it has like a little color grading in it, like different kind of specks of color, which makes it really cute, but you can only see that if you come up close with this one. This is a great example of a piece that I love to wear, but it's absolutely not perfect and absolutely not the right size. This could be way better. I think even if I would have done one row less of the underwear, it would have been already a lot better. But I didn't, and that's okay. I just love this one so much, even though it's not perfect. To move on, I'm gonna start with tops. Tops is something I like to wear, tops in general, but I don't know if I like to wear knit tops. Since I don't really like to knit or crochet in like cotton or linen or like another more breathable material for like the summer or the spring, I just don't really make a lot of tops. But I did make one top last year, and you may or may not have seen it on my Instagram before, and it's this lesbian top. And again, on the first glance, it's really cute. It's a very nicely fitting boat neck wool top. Very cute. I have gotten so much better at like redoing things, re-knitting the ribbing or unraveling stuff that I just don't like, which I think is a really, really big bonus and thing for me that I did since this year. Like that's such like a progress for me. Like I used to never, never, ever unravel something. Like I am not going to re-knit something twice. No. Well, I've changed. But for example, with this one, I did not really want to do that. So for example, there's a mistake in the ribbing. I don't know if you can see it. It's a really tiny mistake or like imperfection, but I messed up the knit and the purls a little bit and I just didn't really care. I didn't really care. So I was just like, I'm just going to leave it. In the end, it does bother me. I feel like I do see it and I'm a bit upset that I didn't change that. But I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Like for example, I did like a purl in the knit and I know that's not a big mistake, but it really bothers me for some reason. Like actually you can see it really well. Or am I just delusional? No, you can see it. And it bothers me. This is like an imperfection that bothers me. The thing you will see, there's imperfections in my knits that bother me and some just don't really bother me. I don't really care. And sometimes I just regret not redoing it. But you know, we all learn. So this one, a tiny mistake in the ribbing, which upsets me a lot. And then another imperfection this knit has. The thing was, my idea, since it's just like the front and the back of this top are exactly the same, I first wanted to do the graph on, I had like one specific side that was going to be the front, and that was going to be this one. First, I wanted to do a different design, so I started felting on it already, but I ended up not liking the design, so I plucked it off again, which it was left with like this, you know, more felted look, obviously because I felted on the wool, so you will have like some remains, your wool will be felted, and I didn't like that. I didn't want that at the front, so you know, I sacrificed the back. And I just, you know, I dealt with it that the wrong purls and knits were going to be on the front because I was like, nobody's going to see that. But I do, which is very unfortunate. But it does happen and we all learn from our mistakes that when I make wrong purls or knits, I'm just going to redo them. Next up is a top that I have made, I think 3 years ago. If I'm correct, it was really in the phase where I used to make a lot of underwear things. Like anything was the underwear pattern, and it's this, I must say, a very, very, very pretty top or like sweater vest. I'm not sure. I love it. It's inspired by a similar kind of shaped top or sweater vest that I have, also with a turtleneck, and it's a blue with a lot of like different colors mixed in, and I thought like how cute would it be if I, instead of one color of the underwear, I do different kinds, and it's absolutely amazing. I love it so much how it looks on first glance. I think it's very cute also because I added like brown and blue. I mixed it, which also gives this really nice like color gradient. But the thing is, I don't like the bottom ribbing. It's way too wide. I think for a very long time, I didn't change my needles on the knitting machine. So when you do ribbing on the machine, basically you have one and they like shranked like this. And you have to make sure that they're not like two and then two. They have to go like over each other a little bit. So then your ribbing is a bit more tighter. For a very long time, I didn't do that. And for a lot of tops or sweaters that I've made, that was actually very fun because the ribbing was more flared, even though it was ribbing. But for tops like this, when I wanted it to be more snug at the waist, I didn't do that. So first of all, this double ribbing is really wide and it just sits a bit, I wouldn't say like ugly. You just know that it's just a little bit too like stretched out. That's the issue. It looks like it has been stretched out, which I don't like. And then the other thing is, this was like one of the first times that I did the double hemmed ribbing, as you can see. And I like the idea because it looks way neater than the actual normal ribbing you do. But for the neckline, and I still struggle with that. I still struggle with ribbing on the neck. I recently added an elastic, but it's not cute at all. It doesn't fit really nice around the neck. even without the elastic, like without the elastic, it was way too wide. Like it would be like a more straight up neck instead of like a nice fitted rib neck. And I just really don't like that. So basically I never wear this. I have never worn this top, which is super unfortunate because I do really like it. It's just the ribbings are really ugly. I think I maybe have to take out the elastic on here so it would look a bit nicer. Or maybe I just made the elastic too tiny, because now when it's around my neck, it goes like bloop, which gives a very, very funny shape, even more funny than the one without the elastic. So I don't know which one's better. Very cute. I also opted to add no ribbing on the sides, which is something that today I would never do anymore because I think it looks a bit unfinished. Yeah, I don't know if these are imperfections or these are just like things that I regret doing. Maybe, you know. I think it's both, because some tops I do really like and I do really love to wear, and others I just don't. I also did like a double ribbing at the bottom. And one other, I think it's not an imperfection, but it's more a mistake that I did with this top, is that it's like a mohair blend. So it's super itchy, which I don't really mind because I can handle the itchiness of natural fibers. But since this is like a summer top, more like a summer top, it's either too hot, and then when it's itchy, it gets super uncomfortable. I really, really don't like that. But to layer it in winter, the neck is too uncomfortable. So it's just, I have to stop making tops like this because I just don't wear them. I just don't wear them because they're too hot. Next up is also an underwear sweater vest. And here I really, really tried to be more perfect and neat with it, and I feel like you can really see that. And that is this one. On camera, I love how good you can see the underwear on the camera. I really like that because in real life it's a little bit more muted. But this one I really like. Like on first glance, this sweater vest is really, really good. I really tried to do a second attempt onto the double ribbing on the sleeves as well, and on the bottom. I really, really like how this one turned out. I think even you can see it. For example, this ribbing is wider than, let me see, this one. And here I think I finally learned that you have to shrink your needles on the machine a little bit different to get a more tighter rib look. Which, you know, bonus to me that I finally realized that you have to do that. Looks very pretty. I must say the neckline here is also very, very good around the neck. It suits, I think, quite good. The only thing is, I think that's also something that I still need to like figure out really how to do that. But a little imperfection is, obviously I knit this double the length and then I folded it over. But when I was going to fold it over completely, my head was not going to be able to fit through that. So I basically left a little V open here. Like from the outside, you don't see it. But from the inside, you can see that the middle part goes here. So I have more space to put my head through. You know, big head I am. But I feel like I don't mind these kind of mistakes. Or like mistakes. I don't know if it's a mistake. These like kind of things that I did to basically hack the system of this thing and make sure that it fits nice without having to redo the entire knitting. It's cute. The other thing is, I must say, maybe the sleeves are a bit too narrow, or like the ribbing is a bit too long. I'm not sure. And in general, this sweater vest is a bit too long for my liking because of the ribbing. I think if one row of the underwear would be gone and the ribbing would be here instead, it would be way better. But, you know, I do love it. I don't wear orange at all. I think orange does not suit me in any way, shape, or form. So basically, I made this entire top and never worn it. And the great proof of that is that basically none of the threads are sewn in. But, you know, nobody knows that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not really my colors. And this was inspired by a stripy sweater that I once saw with orange and red, and I thought it was super cute, and I just wanted to, I don't know, do something more simple yet colorful. So I ended up with this. You know, this is also just like a little tip. Maybe it's not an imperfection. It's also a little tip to, if your ribbing is going to be too tight for your head, just create this extra V space and you'll be fine, because you really don't see it from the outside. I have done this multiple times, so, you know. Not perfect, but still cute. I'm debating, do I go over to the top with the most imperfections first, or do I go over to the cardigans? I think I will stay with the top or like t-shirt that I've made very, very recently, and I have talked about it in one of my videos, and it's this Respect Your Mother baby tee that I made for a Harry Styles concert. And I must say, on first glance, she looks really cute. She looks like a fun little t-shirt. I even did like the double ribbing again, like without the ribbing, like the double neckline without the ribbing. Love how it turned out. Really, really great. I think amazing. But let me tell you the struggles I had with this top. It was supposed to be an oversized t-shirt. Yeah, that was really ugly. Like that really, this was like way bigger and it turned out this tiny just because of all the mistakes that I've made while making this top. Ridiculous. To show you, I will just turn it inside out. I will just let you see what happened. I feel like on first glance, it will be fine, but it just looks ridiculous. So this is what we have. Okay, this is normal. This is just because of my knitting machine. But let me tell you, let me show you the sides. Yeah, that's not really how it's supposed to be. Really ugly. Oh my god. The black sewing all across it. The ruffling up. Yeah, I screamed. I made this the night before I went to the concert. I almost had a mental breakdown because I don't know any time management. I always have to do everything last minute. So I was hoping for the best, and in the end it turned out really cute because look at this neckline that I did. That's very, very good. But the rest, yeah, let me just walk you through it. So the issue was I wanted to sew this top together. I always sew my knit pieces together with the machine, the panels, like the different sides. I don't really mind that. But the issue starts when you start cutting into your knitting. Obviously, when you cut into your knits, you need to secure the stitches or they will just unravel and you will be all of a sudden naked. You don't want that. So I decided to overlock it. Stretch, knitting, sewing. Just don't do it without thinking. I did that. And I was also, first of all, too lazy to change the color on my overlock machine. So it's black, really ugly, but I thought, it's fine. It's fine. You don't see that. Nobody sees that. I mean, I was right. Nobody sees that. But yeah. Yeah, and then I just had to change the size of the sleeve because the sleeves were very long and very wide, but then the top was more narrow and it just looked ridiculous. So I did an attempt on cap sleeves that ended up really, really ugly, like horrible. But what I do like is you would think that this is also like the double folded hem, but I just folded it over and sewed over it. And then you also have basically the same idea of a t-shirt, which I think is also like a thing. If you don't want to do the double thing on your knitting machine, you can also just sew it. Just don't start cutting into like a very stretchy top and then overlock it. Very sad actually also that it just didn't work out entirely how I wanted it to work out, because my goal is to really create a very good basic t-shirt shaped knit. And I just don't always want to go in with my sewing machine and change it or like adapt it to make it fit better. I just really want to be able to knit a t-shirt that is just good by knitting itself. And I know there's patterns for that, but I just want to do it by myself. I don't know. Yeah. You can also see it on the sides. Unfortunately, that was something that also really bothered me. You can see the ruffling from the inside peeking through on the outside. Nobody sees the imperfections if you wear it out. Nobody looks at the details. Only you know it because you made it, obviously. And that's fine. That's also good to be critical. But let's move on to the next one. And lastly, I have 3 cardigans that I want to show that all have imperfections, obviously. And the first one is one of my most recent cardigans. I have shown you this cardigan in multiple videos, of course, because if you're not proud of what you make, then what are you even doing? Anyways, this very nice crochet / knit cardigan. Mostly this cardigan is quite okay. It doesn't have a lot of imperfections, I must say. The ribbing is really cute on the sleeves as well. Like, I mean, maybe a mistake is that I ended on a purl and not on a knit. But that's more like a technical mistake that I did and I didn't count very well. But in the end, I don't really care. Like, if it's for me, I really don't care. If this would be a pattern, I would care. But if it's for me, I just really didn't mind. But then the neckline, again, I struggle so much with necklines. They need to fit nice around the neck, not too tight, not too loose, and not too wide, not too narrow. Like, it's just, it's so hard. And I struggled so much with this one. I did make progress with this one because I think I re-knit this one like 2 or 3 times. And that's already a big step for me, that I decided to unravel it and to re-knit it. So I picked up more stitches than the first attempt. I think I re-knitted twice. So I picked up more stitches than the first attempt because it was just too narrow the first attempt and I didn't like it. So I ended up doing it a little bit different, but then it was gonna turn out super, super wide because I did granny squares, like these half granny squares. The neckline was just really wide in general. I was just like, I'm not gonna redo that a third time. I was just like, no, I'm just gonna work with it, which I did. And the thing that I did on the inside, again, me and my sewing, I took in a little bit on the sides. Here, it's really hard to show, but I basically folded it together so the neckline would be a little bit more tight, and I sewed it here. And then you can basically go in there. Can you see that? So it would be a little bit more narrow, but the only issue is now it bunches up. Like, it doesn't really bother me that much, but it's a bit thicker here because of the overlapping fabric, because I sewed it together. And I was gonna say you don't really see it as much when you wear it, but it's just something that I know, and it just kind of upsets me that it's not perfect, because since this year, I feel like I got way more strict on myself to make things perfect, because then I feel like I will wear them more and I will feel more comfortable wearing them. Not with the idea of like, this like sits a bit uncomfortable, or there's like a little mistake that like makes the shape a bit weird, so I constantly have to adjust it through the day. Like, I just don't want that anymore. You know, it bothers me, but it doesn't. It's just a bit, it's okay. It's just not great. Like, the thing is now, like, when people are like, oh, do you have a pattern for this? I'm never gonna make a pattern for this because it's just not good enough. But also, I don't want to perfect it. You know, I really love this cardigan for myself, but I just don't want to make a pattern for it. It was just like a more fun on the side project because I really wanted to crochet granny squares again, which I did, which is perfect. But, you know, the neck, I will keep on struggling, I think, with the neckline. You will see in some further pieces as well that that's just like a weakness. Yeah, my weakness is necklines. Next up is the most beloved cardigan that I own. I love it so much. It has so many imperfections, which I tweaked later on, but it has so many imperfections, yet I still love it so much. Actually, yeah, I'm lying. It doesn't have that much imperfections. I'm just like, it got way better after tweaking it. To continue is my absolute favorite cardigan of the year, and probably also next year, is my Diva cardigan. Yes, my Diva cardigan. And I made a pattern for this. This cardigan I finished in January. People loved it. Like, I was so happy that people like loved it so much. And because this is a cardigan, so you basically have to do it symmetrical. So I had to write down how I did it. So I did have some measurements and like stitch counts written down so I could remake this cardigan, because this cardigan is not perfect at all. Let me show you first the first imperfection that it has, and that is basically that the fluff I just sewed on, but the cardigan underneath, it's like this, looks ridiculous, really, really bad, because basically I knit rows that are super unnecessary, and then we have this weird flap underneath, and then it's also sewn on, I must say, kind of crooked, because I eyeballed it. I really didn't care. I just wanted to finish it again. I want to finish a piece and I want to wear it immediately. So that was like the issue. Like, from far away, it looks really cute. Also, I wear it. I don't really care about it. You don't really see it because as a person, you also move around so it's fine. Moving on from that. But I used to suck at buttonholes. Basically, I made buttonholes, but they're not buttonholes. They're absolutely like, these are like, can you even see that? That's not a buttonhole. Here the same. That is not a buttonhole. I have like 2 holes here and I just act like one is a buttonhole. Same goes for this one. And then actually the last one was an actual buttonhole, but then I forgot how to do it. So I couldn't remake it. I don't know. It was just like really a big mess, but I didn't care. As long as the buttons looked cute, I think that was fine for me. Color of the fluff is actually okay. That's cute. But it just looked a bit ridiculous because also the spacing of the buttons doesn't make sense. I don't have enough buttons on this one because there's only 1, 2, 3, and then the spacing here is a bit off with this one. So it just looks a bit crooked. And then there's like a big space open here. It just doesn't really, it didn't look nice. I mean, it looked nice because I really love to wear this cardigan, but it didn't look nice enough to make an actual pattern of this cardigan to publish it to the world. So I obviously had to remake it. But until this day, I really love this cardigan. I can't wait for it to be colder so I can wear it again because it's too hot right now. The decreasing in the sleeve was a bit off. I think I did some random things to make it a little bit more tinier. As you can see, it's uneven. Like these sides are uneven. Everybody liked it so much. I was like, I want to make a pattern of this. Actually, maybe I should. This is like a new challenge for me to make a pattern out of something that I've made because I always freehand. Most of the time, I just don't have the measurements, the stitch counts, like anything almost to make a really good pattern. And since I also didn't know how to read patterns, it was really hard for me. But you know, people change. I learn, you grow. I decided to also re-knit one. So I made a second version of the Diva cardigan, and she is already a lot better. Also a lot neater. I feel like if you look at the sleeve, the puffiness is way better than the first version, which I think is really nice. And then I also learned how to do buttonholes, kind of. Like they look way better. They're like actually buttonholes spaced correctly. But I felt like I still wasn't sure about the buttonholes, how to actually do it. Like I wrote it down, but it was not completely how you did an actual buttonhole. Like if that makes sense. I feel like I still made mistakes and I got really frustrated because if you write a pattern, it has to be correct because for myself, I don't mind the imperfections, but for other people, obviously if you pay for a pattern, you want it to be good. So, you know, I had to figure that out again. I already knew in my head that I wanted to make a third version. It's just also how many buttons does a person need on a cardigan? Like, was I afraid that it was gonna like fly off or something? It's no. And then I feel like the top part, like the neck ribbing, it's super close to each other. And then this fluff, no. The thing that bothered me the most about this cardigan was the fluff on the collar, because it looked completely different than the blue fluff. And I just couldn't wrap my head around how I made this color so cute. Like I didn't know. I struggled on this. Like the color of the fluff, like the shape is way better than this one. This one is more like a pie that you cut. And that one is more like a, I don't know if that makes sense, but it does to me. So also then the buttons were like hiding and it is like a bit messy around here, you know, like again, I can't release this as a pattern. I must say a good thing that I did is the fluff here a lot better. I changed some things about that, but I will also make a video about my Diva cardigan only dedicated to the Diva cardigan to go through the process of making this because I think it's super interesting. Also for myself, since this is my first pattern that I make. Anyways, that doesn't matter right now. Yeah, so basically it has tiny imperfections, mainly the buttons. I feel like the overall shaping for me of a garment is fine. I mostly struggle with the neckline and ribbing or like buttons because those things acquire a little bit more thinking and calculating, I've noticed. And if you freehand and you just do it by going, the chances that it's going to be like 100% correct are like more slim, obviously. So what I've learned through this year by making these things is actually that if I sometimes take the time to calculate a bit more, I save more time by not having to re-knit something, which I think is so good that I do that now. I'm very happy that I also got better at buttonholes because I love buttons. Buttons are very cute. You can really make or like do fun stuff with buttons. And yeah, that was it. Those were the pieces that I want to show you that have imperfections. I don't know if these are imperfections to you or just like mistakes in general, maybe. Maybe you think like, oh, or maybe you're like, no, you're too strict on yourself. I don't know. Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye!